They say a single moment can carve your name into history or erase it forever. And mine began the day I understood one brutal truth. When a storm is coming for your world, you either bow or you stand tall enough to become the storm yourself. My name is Leonidas, King of Sparta, and this is the story of how 300 men and I faced an empire so vast it made the sea look narrow, and yet we walked toward it willingly. Not because we believed we would survive, but because we believed the world had to. I was never meant to be a legend. I was a child born into Sparta, which means I didn't grow up surrounded by silk pillows and gentle tutors. No, my cradle was discipline, my lullaby was the clash of training spears, and my favorite toy was survival itself. Sparta didn't raise boys, it forged weapons. At age 7, I entered the Agoj, the most charming institution you can imagine if your idea of charm is hunger, cold, and elders screaming, "Pain is temporary, but shame lasts forever." If someone misbehaved, he ran. If someone complained, he ran. If someone breathed too loudly, well, you get the idea. But it shaped me. Every bruise became knowledge, every scar a teacher. By the time I was crown ready, I didn't feel like a future king. I felt like an old soldier trapped in a young man's body. And then came Xerxes, the great king of Persia, a man who called himself a god on earth and traveled with more gold than half the world owned at the time. His empire stretched across continents, swallowing kingdoms like a wolf gulps down lambs. But here's the thing no one tells you. The bigger the empire, the bigger the ego. And Xerxes' ego could have blocked out the sun even without his archers. When his envoys came to Sparta demanding earth and water, symbolic signs of surrender, they stood in front of me with their polished sandals and their oily smiles. They smelled like perfume and arrogance. "Kneel," they said. "Persia is generous to those who bow." I looked at them, looked at their soft, moisturized hands, and thought, these men wouldn't last 1 hour in the Agoj. So I said the words that would echo through centuries. "Molon Labe, come and take them." They didn't appreciate the invitation. Soon after, word spread through Greece, Xerxes was marching with an army so massive that when they drank from rivers, they dried them. Some said millions, others said the dust cloud from their sandals looked like the wrath of the gods. Fear does funny things to people. Some cities were ready to surrender immediately, others argued endlessly. But Sparta? We don't fear numbers. We don't fear threats. Honestly, the only thing Spartans truly fear is running out of wine. Still, we knew this wasn't just another battle. This was the kind of moment that decides whether your children grow up free or grow up learning foreign chains. Our laws said we couldn't send the full army because of the Carnea festival. Even kings obeyed tradition. But I could take a personal guard, 300 of the best men in Sparta, fathers all of them, warriors who had already proven themselves in battle and in life. Imagine selecting only 300 warriors out of a nation raised for war. Every one of them could have led an army. Every one of them would follow me into fire. And they did. As we marched north through rocky paths and mountain shadows, men from other Greek cities joined us, not because they believed they would win, but because something in them stirred at the idea that someone, finally, was choosing to stand, and they wanted to be part of that story. When we reached Thermopylae, the hot gates, I knew this was the place the fates had carved for us. A narrow pass squeezed between a mountain and the sea. It didn't matter how many
Persians came, only a few could fight shoulder to shoulder at once. In a world ruled by giants, we found a doorway small enough to level the playing field. Before the battle, my men were relaxed, at least Spartan relaxed. They were sharpening spears, checking shields, flexing their muscles like they were at an outdoor gym. I joked with them, told them to eat well because soon we'd fight in the shade. Persian archers were so numerous that their arrows could blot out the sun. When the Persian waves finally arrived, they came with drums shaking the air, banners whipping the wind, and officers shouting orders across ranks that looked endless. Some of my allies trembled. I didn't blame them. Facing that sight without trembling is like standing before a roaring sea and pretending you don't hear it. But my Spartans, they stepped forward as though greeting old friends. Shields locked, spears angled, and when the Persians charged, the pass exploded into chaos. Blood on stone, steel on bone, screams swallowed by war cries. Wave after wave crashed into us, but our phalanx held like a wall carved from the gods themselves. Their so-called immortals came next, Persia's elite. They wore black armor and masks meant to terrify. But masks don't win battles. Men do. We broke them. We broke them so hard that even Xerxes, watching from his golden throne on a cliff, stood up in disbelief. At night, the enemy filled the darkness with moans and prayers to their foreign gods. My men, they joked around the campfires, cleaned their wounds, and argued about who fought better. One said I swung my spear like a tired farmer. I told him if I was a farmer, he was the goat. They laughed. Warriors laugh loudly, especially when they know the end is coming, but choose to smile anyway. On the second day, more Persians died than on the first. They pushed, we pushed back. They screamed, we roared. Their bodies piled so high that the pass turned into a graveyard, and still they came. Until betrayal slithered into the story. A local man, hungry for gold, revealed a hidden mountain path to Xerxes, one that led behind our position. When scouts brought me the news, I felt a coldness sharper than any Persian blade. But Spartans don't fear death, we fear dishonor. Retreat would have been logical, sensible, smart, but history is not written by cowards. I dismissed the allies, told them to live and spread the truth of what happened at the hot gates. My Spartans stayed. No one begged, no one hesitated. Their eyes shone not with fear, but with acceptance, with pride, with a fire that made the night glow. On the final morning, before dawn broke over the cliffs, we tightened our armor, lifted our shields, and formed the line one last time. The ground shook with incoming troops, thousands approaching from the front, thousands more from the rear. The cliffs echoed with their drums. My heart beat calmly. I looked at my men, my brothers, and said, "This is where we stand. This is where they learn who we are." The battle that followed cannot be measured in minutes or hours, only in fury. Spears shattered, shields cracked. We fought with swords, then with daggers, then with bare hands. I took wounds I didn't feel until the world slowed. My vision blurred, but still we fought. When I fell, I did not fall in fear. I fell with my face toward the enemy, toward the sun rising over the pass we had turned into legend. And with my final breath, I whispered to the wind, "Remember us." If you're hearing this now, then the world did. Not because 300 survived, none of us did, but because 300 stood. And sometimes, standing is all it takes to change the course of history.